Come to me, all you who labor and are overburdened, and I will give you rest. I'm wondering if any of you, when you heard that, thought to yourself, that's me. I've been laboring. I'm overburdened. Jesus' promise of rest can awaken in us an ache, a deep groaning. I want that so bad because I'm so tired. These past 5 Sundays, we've been exploring the theme Unhurried in our annual Connect series. When I found out that I was going to be preaching for our last homily in this Connect series, I thought, how can I exhort us to live an unhurried life when I myself am run ragged? I've been a priest for 10 months now, and it is a beautiful privilege. But to be honest, I've never felt more stretched or stressed in my life. The demands of ministry are constant, and I feel the weight of responsibility heavily. I feel under pressure to produce, perform, and meet expectations. Unhurried certainly sounds attractive, but it seems elusive, because all these things that are making me feel busy seem outside of my control. I share this with you because I suppose that I'm not alone in this experience. For many of us, we labor under so many pressures and responsibilities. It's an endless slog to meet the expectations of others and to fulfill our duties at work, in our studies, even at home. For some of us, we may not have so many external pressures in our current season of life, and yet we may still find our lives marked by a restlessness because we fear that if we slow down, we may have to face painful realities, the cracks in my marriage, the people I haven't forgiven. And so we keep these things at bay by creating our own busyness and distraction. Whether we find ourselves laboring under external pressures or creating our own distractions, it's such a relief to hear the words of Jesus. I will give you rest. How do we receive this promised rest? Jesus presents us with a threefold invitation. Come to me, shoulder my yoke, and learn from me. I want to look at these 3 invitations in reverse order. Firstly, learn from me. What can we learn from Jesus? Learning from Jesus is more than just listening to his teaching. It's learning from his way of living. And one of the things that strikes me about the way that Jesus lived is that he was so free. I don't think Jesus ever got worried or stressed. What was the source of Jesus' freedom? He knew who he was. His identity was grounded in being beloved by the Father. We are invited to learn from Jesus the freedom of being the beloved. Jesus says to us, learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart. A gentle heart is a heart that is at peace with oneself. A humble heart knows and accepts the truth of who they are. This is the secret to an unhurried life. It's not about having better time management strategies. It flows from a gentle and humble heart, a heart that knows I am loved by God. When we don't know that we are loved by God, we can move through life with an anxious heart, troubled by this existential question, am I good enough? And looking to the people around us to answer it. But when you know that you are loved by God, you won't be driven by fear or anxiety. Knowing that you are loved by God gives you the security to fail or to disappoint others, and to know that you're going to be okay. At Jesus' baptism, the Father's voice is heard from heaven saying, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." Through our baptism, we are united with Jesus. Jesus wants us to share in his very own experience of being in relationship with God as our loving Father. And so learning to be the beloved means owning and claiming the identity given to us in our baptism, that I am a child of God. The more that we allow ourselves to be children of God, the more that we experience ourselves as beloved. The truth of God's love is often hidden from the learned and the clever because they strive to do things in their own strength and aren't humble enough to accept help. But God's love is revealed to little ones. I'm sure parents would agree that we can learn so much from children because they reveal to us what we were once like before we started to worry so much about what other people thought of us. Jesus teaches us to enter into this childlike state before God, a state of unflinching trust and dependence. It's tremendously freeing to live your baptismal identity as a beloved child of God, to live in confidence and in trust, free from worry, free from hurry. The second invitation Jesus gives is shoulder my yoke. Now, it seems ironic or strange that just after Jesus promises to give us rest, in the very next breath, he uses this image of labor, a yoke, a wooden beam used to bind two oxen together to distribute the load as they plow a field. If Jesus wants to give us rest, then why is he calling us to take on a burden? To be yoked together with Jesus means that we are walking with him side by side. I suspect that the reason that some of us feel overburdened is because we have effectively been carrying our burdens alone, laboring in our own strength. Jesus' yoke is light and easy because you're carrying it with Jesus, not on your own. Shoulder my yoke, Jesus says. What is Jesus' yoke? It is the yoke of obedience. Jesus' purpose that guided him through life was doing his Father's will. And so if we're walking with Jesus, we are submitting our lives under his yoke of obedience. Many in our culture shudder at the notion of obedience, viewing it as a burden that must be thrown off in order for us to be truly free. That aspiration for freedom is deeply human, but it is misguided if we equate freedom with just doing whatever I want. Jesus shows us that true freedom comes from choosing to be obedient to God's will. And this involves accepting peacefully the crosses that come our way. When we shoulder the yoke of obedience, life becomes simple and purposeful. Our life becomes all about doing God's will. All our decisions, all our relationships are submitted under this yoke, and then we find true freedom. Finally, the first and most fundamental invitation Jesus gives is come to me. Not come to a philosophy or a set of rules or a self-improvement program. Come to me. It's an invitation to relationship. In John's Gospel, Jesus puts it this way: abide in my love. Of course, if we want to learn from Jesus how to be the beloved, we first need to come to him, because it's in relationship with Jesus that we discover our belovedness. To come to Jesus is to open your heart to him in prayer. When I use the word prayer, I'm not talking about saying prayers, but by faith, entering into an awareness of, drawing our attention to God who loves us. And we can draw near to God through the humanity of Jesus, who reveals to us the heart of the Father. No one knows the Father except the Son, and those to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. Prayer isn't just throwing your thoughts into the air. It's engaging in a relationship. Prayer is being present with Jesus, who is present to us. It's being still with Jesus and conversing with him. The hurried pace of the world around us scatters our attention and makes us unable to be present. To enter into prayer, we must make a conscious effort to move against the pace of the world. But sometimes that fast pace comes from within, from an anxious heart. When a little child is distressed, skin-to-skin contact with a parent can regulate their heart rate and nervous system. Maybe the cure to our hurry is just letting God give us a hug. And we can do that by coming to God in prayer and meeting him face to face. When I abide in God's love, I'm set free from striving and stress, and I discover a peace that the world cannot give, the peace of being loved. There are many ways that we can pray, but a guiding principle is that we should do whatever nourishes relationship. Just like in human relationships, intimacy with Jesus requires spending time together. You might think to yourself, I can't afford the time for prayer. But if you want your soul to flourish, if you want to find true rest, then you can't afford not to give God your time. So where does this leave us all at the end of our Connect series? I hope it leaves us determined, hopeful, and empowered. Determined to pursue an unhurried life. Hopeful that this is possible for us, and empowered to choose the way of Jesus in a distracted world. We heard Jesus' invitation today. Come to me, shoulder my yoke, learn from me. Come to me in prayer, shoulder my yoke of obedience, and learn from me how to live in the freedom of being a beloved child of God. One final thought to leave you with. It's been the greatest treasure of my life to discover my identity as a beloved child of God. But learning to continually live from this place is a journey of growing into freedom that I'm still on. One of the biggest helps that I've found on that journey is being in close relationships with others who are also walking with Jesus. This is because friends in faith reveal to us our belovedness. In allowing myself to be known, I can experience and receive their acceptance and compassion as a gift. We're often our own worst critics, but experiencing ourselves through the eyes of our friends in faith offers us a glimpse into the immeasurable love with which God looks upon us. So, if you want to live the unhurried life, don't try to do it alone. Let's walk with one another as we walk with Jesus.